Hello everyone, I'm Joel, your host for Talking Trends, where we explore real estate trends as well as other luxury lifestyle trends here in the greater Sarasota area. Today we're really excited. We're on location at 8250 Sanderling Road, our new listing on Siesta Key. And it's great because we get to tell the story about this property. We're here with the architect for the property, Guy Peterson. Guy, welcome. It's great to have you on this segment.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate you inviting me.
And I'm a huge fan, of course, of your work. I've been very fortunate over the years to get to work with buyers and sellers on a number of properties that you design. So it's real positive for me to be here and be a listing agent for this property. So let's dive in a little bit about it. But before we do that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
I was actually born in Cheyenne, Wyoming, but my father was a doctor and he got out of the Air Force. I was born in the Air Force Base there, and they moved to Sarasota right after that. So I was like 6 months old when I moved here. So I call myself a native, but it's
as close as we get. I think
it's about as close as you can get to being a native. But I was fortunate to be surrounded by amazing architecture as a young boy growing up. My parents were great friends with many of the architects of the Sarasota School. We belonged to the Field Club and Tim Siebert. I played tennis with Jack West, and I wasn't part of the Sarasota School of Architecture, but it was part of me growing up.
So we're going to dive in and talk a little bit about this property. So obviously it was a custom design for your client at that time. Was there some inspiration or some basis for the start of this project?
I'm a modernist, and there's a difference between being a modernist and everybody says, oh, you're a contemporary architect, Guy Peterson. Yep. Well, we're all contemporary architects because we're of our time.
Right.
Thomas Jefferson was a contemporary architect when he was doing architecture. A modernist is based on the principles of modernism that really came out of the Bauhaus in the 20s. Walter Gropius and his team of amazing people there. And those principles are something that I was taught in graduate school, and I adopted those as something a path that I wanted to follow, and being honest about doing timeless architecture. But essentially the building is it's a large concrete pavilion, glass concrete pavilion. Explore architectural concrete that's not covered. So the beauty of the material. Concrete's beautiful because of its imperfections, in my opinion. And then I enclosed this whole pavilion in glass. And then the idea of interjecting these volumetric elements, these cubes I call them, it becomes like this study in mass void. The cubes are where the functions take place in the house. Mm-hmm. You know, the living, the dining, all the different things take place in these volumetric elements that are engaged in this glass concrete pavilion. And each cube has a different function.
And I love it, I think, too, because you are in an amazing site, right? You're on the beach.
Yes.
You have views from every room. You actually want to balance kind of the architecture with the site, which is just stunning. But I think the beauty of this home is all the spaces are super comfortable.
Oh yeah. Well, I think architecture is sculpture with useful function. Mm-hmm. And this is a big piece of sculpture. And I think one of the things that's so powerful and successful in the house, in my opinion, is the cubes aren't just, you see them from the outside, but when you're in the building, you actually walk from one volume to another through these bridges. So you always know you're going from one volumetric element to another volumetric element. And I think they're just as apparent internally as they are externally.
Yeah, love it.
But there's elements of this house that I have started exploring, like probably people know me from my work because I use sometimes a lot of slits, or I use a lot of perforations with the glass block. Well, I brought some of those into this project because that's something I was exploring at the time.
Right.
But I never did it in a vocabulary and a structure quite like this. And here we are almost 25 years later. And to me, it's still as new as it was then. I think it's timeless, and that's always the goal, is to do something that's not, I don't ever design anything based on current fashion or some fad or what's happening now, because then you date your architecture. I want something that's gonna look as fresh and as new as when the day is built. And I think, I honestly think in 25 more years, I think this house will still look like it could have been built anytime.
Yep, from the moment you kind of enter the property, it's just awe-inspiring.
Yeah, I'm a minimalist, and I believe in not additive architecture, like you design a space and say, now what can I add to it to make it more interesting? I design a space, and now what can I take away that I don't need?
Right.
So you end up with pure space and light and things like that. So, the art now really stands out because the rest of the building is kind of a backdrop.
Right.
And that's intentional.
Yeah. That's the beauty of it, right?
Right.
It takes on its own energy.
It does. It does.
Yeah. So obviously we're on the Gulf of Mexico. It's a big site here. Obviously the Gulf is right there. Obviously there's some special considerations when you're designing on a site like this. Obviously there's pilings, which are kind of fun, right? They actually became part of the...
Well, they're hidden. They're about 40 feet deep, but there's a lot of, each of these columns has a pile cap and probably 3 or 4 piles underneath it. So this building is not going anywhere. These are all precast concrete driven piles. But then everything that came out of the ground on those pile caps is the artificial concrete that supports the structure. And in terms of building on the Gulf of Mexico or any coastal environment, it's a very corrosive environment. And you have to pick materials that are going to withstand the environment.
Right.
And we used aluminum powder coated handrails, no steel out there at all.
Right.
All the window frames are anodized aluminum, which is the best. They don't last forever, and they do get pitted after a while, but in a salt environment, it still remains the best you can do. And because we're on the coast, we have to elevate the house to, I think we're 18 feet to the bottom of the lowest horizontal structural member. I think the entry sequence here is really quite special with the big 3-story foyer, and you see the bridges going by and you see the different volumes you're going to be experiencing. So to me, using those codes gives me an opportunity to do something that's even more dramatic.
Exactly.
But it doesn't look like I just jacked it up and put it in the air. So, but we have to use certain materials down below, like I mentioned, that are flood-proof, and we can't have any living functions down below.
Right.
We have a garage, and we have the foyer, and then access up. And entering the house down below, there's 2 stairs. There's 2 things: was the columns in the middle of the sidewalk and having 2 stairs. Why isn't that redundant? So there's a real purpose for that. Is the stair that you come in from the foyer, I always call the public stair.
Right.
Because that's where guests come in, they arrive up here, they're in the living room, they're dining room, they're in the public spaces. And then we have the family stair. You come in from the garage, you come up the family stair, you're in the kitchen, the family room, and closer to the bedrooms. So, and it worked out really beautiful. So 2 of the voids between this become the vertical circulation in the house. And to me, architecture is not just about what you see, but it's about what you experience.
Yeah.
And so I feel as an architect, you're kind of the conductor of a journey.
Right.
I mean, I always start my design not as you approach the site, the experience of arriving at the site. What are you going to see? I mean, I put this white wall out here where the guest park because I didn't want to give the view away.
Right.
I want there to be a surprise. I want there to be an expectation of something that's going to be better. You don't want to give the aha moment away as you first get there, because then maybe it doesn't get any better than that. So as you come into the building and you come up the stair, you start to unfold the view and you get up to the top, and then many different places you get the big view. But internally you're looking down the hallways and little windows that capture, like the aquarium window in the kitchen.
Right.
I think it's a really neat little horizontal. All you see is green.
Exactly.
You don't see anything else. So
it's about the design and the utility elements of it, and what the thought process that went through it. I think it's the buyer of this home will love that. That's what they'll appreciate. Anything else we need to know about this house?
I think the only other thing I'd mention is that there's these 4 volumetric elements. If you look at it from the back of the house, the only one that's symmetrical is the center one. You look to the left, you look to the right, they're same size, but they're articulated differently. But the center cube is always what I call the shared cube. It's got the dining room upstairs. It has like a library, opens to the roof garden. I wanted to have an experience so you can watch the sunrise, not just the sunset, and go out. And if you notice, I peeled the concrete roof back half of the 18 feet, so 9 feet of it's covered. I didn't want it to be totally covered.
Right.
I wanted to have more light and things in there. So that's another feature that I think is part of the DNA of this house is that roof garden.
And I love it because it is a garden too.
Yeah,
It's lush. Right. It makes you feel good when you go out there.
Right.
very
Right.
private space. And again, you get a different perspective on the
Right,
property,
right.
which is amazing.
So
I think it's
very
important.
important.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a kudos to you because
thank
that's what this property
Right,
exudes,
right.
essentially. So,
thank you.
Guy, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Joel. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome, awesome.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us for another segment of Talking Trends. We'll see you next time.